Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly live immigration attorney chat here at Immigration for Couples. I'm attorney Megan Pastrana, and I'd like to welcome all of you. If you are here with us live, I see we have a few people here live. I'd love to have you put in the comments. Let me get over to the comments so I can see what you write. If you could put in the comments where you're from, where you're watching us from, that would be awesome. We help couples all across the nation and all across the world. And that's one of the many rewarding parts of our work is getting to work with individuals literally from all over the world. So if you want to throw in the comments, where are you at right now in the world? Good morning, Lisa. It's great to have you here with us. And if you're new to our firm, new to our Facebook page, to our YouTube channel, our firm, Immigration for Couples, is dedicated exclusively to helping couples all across the nation, all across the world, as I said. And yay! And the fun thing today, I now am able to do this live stream on both Facebook Live and YouTube simultaneously. So that's super exciting because I know we have a lot of viewers who prefer one platform over the other. And so we have a lot of people here with us. Lorraine, you're from Belgium. That's so awesome. You're waiting for the embassy to receive your approval from the National Visa Center. Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon you get some good news. Congratulations on getting to that point. All right, Sugar Brown, Michigan. Good morning. Atlanta. Oh, Lisa, you're in Florida. That's awesome. I've never asked, and I know you're one of our regulars, so that's awesome. Have another individual from Florida here. Thanks for being with us. And you saw it listed on YouTube. Awesome. We'll start doing this regularly so more people can join. Good morning. The chat is blowing up. This is awesome. I'm glad we're doing it on both platforms. UK, we have a lot of clients in the UK. Great to be with us. And awesome. We're super excited too. All right. And good morning to you as well. All right. Well, we can dive in here. And before we dive into the topics that I have lined up, the topic I have picked out here today actually came from a couple people's questions on YouTube about expedite requests. That's a popular topic. And so I wanted to dive more into expedite requests here today. But before we dive into that topic, I want to let all of you know about our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. We know how important it is, whether you're just starting out or in the middle of your immigration journey, to have resources, to have clarity, to have support, and also community, to know you're not alone. So you can see all of you here today are connected or going through an immigration process, or you're connected to someone who is. And so you're not alone. I too have gone through my own immigration journey with my husband and many members of our team as well. And so we created this free resource center with lots of love for all of you. Our free resource center has lots of information about the different processes that are available to couples. We have a free relationship evidence guide, downloadable charts. So if you're looking for some clarity, please check out our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. All right. I have a couple more comments. Oh, yes. And for our regulars, Anna, good morning. If you have any questions, the chat is blowing up. So if you have questions after I go through my topic here today, I will go through what questions that you all have. And if you're watching this on the replay, please do a hashtag replay. Let me know what your questions are, because I said that's how I got the topic here for today. Cool, cool. And I see I have some great questions already in the chat. So let's dive into this question. Can I expedite my immigration case? So a few people asked this. There was actually someone who asked this last night as well, wanting to know if I could talk about this topic on today's live. So absolutely, let's talk about expedite requests. So for those of you who are just starting out in your immigration journey, maybe you haven't heard of an expedite request. And so I always like to do my 30,000 foot view so you know where we're at. And so that gives you some context for the question and for my answer. So if you are going through an immigration process, if you're just starting out, one of the first things you will do after you complete your application is submit it to immigration. And then your case will go into a line, into a queue, and you'll have to wait for a decision from immigration. And so those wait times can be quite long. We have seen improvement in the wait times, especially for fiance and spouse visas. We are seeing the wait times literally decrease, which is fantastic. But the wait times are still long. Most couples waiting at least a year, sometimes more, to get a decision. Immigration has put in place a tool called an expedite request for individuals if you have an emergency, an urgent reason, and you can't wait and you need your case to be decided sooner. The proper path, the proper tool that you would use would be an expedite request. And the expedite requests are only approved or only granted by immigration in really extreme circumstances. So the follow-up question I know everyone has is, what are the circumstances that immigration would consider? What are the situations that immigration would even consider an expedite request and approve an expedite request? Our office has done many, many expedite requests, and we've had a lot of success with them. And we always, always, always let our clients know that expedite requests are a Hail Mary pass. They're very hard to get approved because immigration wants to do things in order. They want those who have filed sooner to have their case reviewed first. Now, immigration, I know they are very disorganized, and I made a video too saying how some people can file at different times and somebody who filed after can get an approval, right? They're not the most organized. I will admit that. But they do want to try to be organized, and they do want to decide applications in the order they're received. And that's why they are hesitant to approve an expedite unless there really is a serious reason. And those reasons, typically, immigration has a few general bases outlined in their policy manual for expedite requests. One of them is urgent humanitarian reasons. Another one is and that really falls into urgent humanitarian reasons. But another one is really if the petitioner has some serious health issues and needs the beneficiary, the immigrant, to be here sooner to help. Something, for example, like a cancer diagnosis, something that's severe. And in some cases, severe financial loss is something immigration would consider as well. And typically, severe financial loss is something that a lot of couples will ask, hey, the fact that we're having to maintain two separate households and travel back and forth is getting expensive. Would that count? And typically those situations, or that situation rather, isn't considered by immigration to be extreme enough. I also disagree, but those are the kinds of situations that an expedite request would be something immigration would consider. Our office, we are creative advocates, and we've had a lot of situations that don't fall perfectly into one of immigration's outlined criteria. And so if we see a situation and we see urgency, we will definitely have a conversation with our clients about the viability of trying it. It doesn't hurt to try. And it also is important for those who have asked, can I expedite my case, for you to understand if you have a serious situation and you want to expedite your case and you want to try, definitely, go for it. But also know that immigration isn't even required to look at the expedite request. So most of the time, that's half of the battle, is getting an expedite request to immigration that they're willing to even take time to look at. So the short answer is yes, if you have a serious situation, you can try to expedite your case, but know that they're hard to get approved, and it doesn't necessarily, there is no guarantee that immigration will even look at it, okay? And in some cases too, expedite requests might not be the tool. I wanted to also mention, for people who waited a very long time, this is happening a lot with adjustment applications. While many adjustment applications are being decided faster nowadays, we are seeing applications that get stuck in the system and they've been waiting for more than a year, and we have to file something called a mandamus action. We file those in federal district court. We're literally suing the government for not doing their job, for having unreasonable delays. And so that's another arrow in our quiver. That's a topic for another day, but I did want to mention that as well. And again, I want to remind all of you of our free resource center for those of you who are just joining at immigrationforcouples.com. All right, now the fun part. I have lots of questions here, so give me a moment to get my bearings straight and pick some questions, because I have questions from those of you on YouTube and Facebook. All righty. Good morning. Thank you for being with us. Good morning, Eds. It's great to see you here again. Okay, I'm going to actually grab this question. This is a really great question, and since it's on topic here with our expedite request, I wanted to talk about this one first. So if you request a humanitarian expedite for your I-130 petition, will you have to do another one for the National Visa Center? So yes, that's an awesome question. Yes, the USCIS is deciding that first part of your application. And so if you filed an expedite request with them and you had that approved, then you would have to request an expedite again for the interview phase of your case. So National Visa Center actually the National Visa Center, their job is to review all of your documents and make sure you have everything that's required so they can poke the embassy, let the embassy or consulate know, hey, this individual is ready for an interview. So you would submit an expedite request through the National Visa Center, but it's not to expedite the National Visa Center process. It's to expedite that interview scheduling that would happen in the future. Some embassies and consulates have a blanket, no, we won't even look at expedites. You'll have to wait your turn. But the short answer is yes, you would need an expedite for each phase of the process, especially because it deals with different parts, different agencies in immigration. All right. Okay, now let me go back up to the top of the list here. I know a lot of comments were coming through as I was going over our topic for today, watching from Albania. That's awesome. Thank you for being with us. And okay. Oh, Lisa, that's such a nice. I love that you're supporting your kiddos with their process. I know they're adults now, but they'll always be your kiddos, right? So, is it okay if your children live with you after they are married? That is totally okay. That happens a lot when there are families that are providing support for the couple who is recently married, and it's a great way for couples to have that support and a great way for couples to get their next chapter started with a solid foundation. So that's awesome. And, letters of support from family, from you and whoever else might be living in the household, letting immigration know that they have a real relationship and they're living with you while they're getting their next chapter going. All right. Good question. Good afternoon from Nigeria. It's morning where I am. So that's awesome. We have all kinds of different time zones here. Thanks for being with us. All right. So Karas, you have a K1 visa and your case status says ready, but you didn't receive the welcome letter email yet. Do we start the DS-160 or wait until we receive the email? So if your K1 visa, if your petition, your I-129F petition has been approved, you should have received a notification from the National Visa Center next. Typically, that takes about 30 to 60 days for that to be received. And if you haven't received a notification from the National Visa Center, in the approval notice, there's an email and there's a way that you're to contact the National Visa Center and request that notification. And then from there, from National Visa Center, you would get another email from the U.S. Embassy or Consulate. And that's the email that I'm understanding you're asking about. You haven't gotten the email from the Embassy or Consulate yet. Yes, you can start that DS-160 so long as your petition has been approved, but you cannot take any further steps outside of really preparing that DS-160. Like you can't schedule your medical exam or the interview or any of that until the U.S. Embassy or Consulate lets you know. All right. Well, congratulations on your petition being approved. That's exciting news. All right. Oh, listening from awesome. Thanks for being with us. You're very welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, I have a question. Let's see. So I have someone else here. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up on the screen so we can all read it together. You have a question for the spouse visa. You have a joint sponsor that filed their taxes 2021 and 2022 single, but this year he filed married joint. Do I need anything from his wife, even if she is not a U.S. citizen? So joint sponsorship can be quite complicated, as I'm sure you're finding. And so as long as your sponsor still makes enough on his own, typically you would not be required to provide anything for his spouse. Sometimes the embassy will make the other member of the household sign a contract as well. But in general, as long as your joint sponsor makes enough on their own, then you would really just need the taxes from that individual joint sponsor. And typically you don't need anything from his wife. But without seeing where his 2023 income sat for that year, it's hard for me to say conclusively whether or not you would need anything from the wife. But in general, In general, no, if he still makes the same amount. And checking out the USCIS has a very, very, very long instructions for the I-864. If you're doing the case on your own, you definitely should read all of those instructions to familiarize yourself, and that would give you more clarity too as to whether or not the specifics of that situation would require documents from his wife. But in general, no. All right. Oh, good question. The popular question, right? How long does it take? So let me get out my crystal ball, right? No, for real, I can give you a good estimate for how long the fiance visa is taking in 2024. What we're seeing currently on the ground with our clients' cases, and then from USCIS processing times, the fiance visa has definitely sped up, and that's awesome. Online, it was saying 15 months. It's still really saying 15 months for that first step. Immigration announced in 2023 that they were making concerted efforts and taking steps to reduce those processing times, and they hired more officers. And we are actually seeing that happening now, shorter wait times. We're seeing most of our clients getting an approval on that very first step of the process in about 6 to 8 months. And from there, it really is going to depend on the country where the interview will happen, the US embassy or consulate wait times in the country of the immigrant beneficiary. But in general, we're seeing that most of our fiance visa clients are receiving their fiance visa in 12 months, give or take, at present. So that's what we're looking at for the fiance visa. Wait times are always changing, as you know. That's why it's such a popular question, but that's really what we're seeing at present. All right. Um. Okay. Let's see. I have another question here. I feel like there's a backlog at the National Visa Center. I only waited 22 days, but I've seen many people waiting for months already, with USCIS claiming their cases got sent to the NVC, but claiming they haven't received it. So, Lorraine, I'm not sure what case type you have, but I'm assuming maybe a fiance visa. But either way, fiance and spouse visas, yes, you're right. They go from that petition phase with the USCIS. So you'll have an I-130 or an I-129F petition, depending on whether you're doing a spouse or a fiance visa. And then the next step is for it to get sent to the National Visa Center. We have not seen any backlogs at the National Visa Center. That's not to say that, things happen in immigration, flukes and crazy things with disorganization can happen. But we've really seen that our clients are getting their notifications from the National Visa Center pretty timely. In some situations, we've seen our clients get National Visa Center notifications before the approval notice comes through, and it comes through shortly after. But I haven't seen any backlogs. The National Visa Center is really caught up quite a bit from COVID. So if you haven't gotten your notification from the National Visa Center, they have an inquiry portal, and you can just hop on that inquiry portal, put in your information, and request that notification. And they're usually pretty decent about getting that to you within a relatively short amount of time. On that same website, you can see their wait times as well for responding. But in the rare instances where we have someone who hasn't gotten their National Visa Center notice, that inquiry portal is the place to go to request that, so you're not waiting. But yeah, if you only waited 22 days, that's really good. That's pretty fast. It does take about 30 days, and that's always been that way, because literally immigration has paper files. They're literally moving them to different places in the country for the next steps in the process. So it does take them about 30 days. But if it goes beyond that, definitely use that inquiry portal. Thanks for your question. Okay. I have so many questions here. I'm feeling, where do I start? I'm excited because I love immigration, and I like going through questions with all of you. But it's going to take me a minute here to get my bearings straight with comments from Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. Okay. It is better for a case if I change. Okay. Eds, all right. Question about a name change. I think you had a question about a name change previously, and so let's see if what you're asking on this question. Change of last name. Oh yeah, and you said question again. Is it better for our case if I change my last name now, or wait until the application has a response from USCIS? So the great thing with changing your name in the immigration process is that's one of the things that's a little easier to do, and all of the things that you do with the immigration process and name changes after marriage, they have streamlined that process. And so once you are married and you're filing your spouse visa or you're filing your adjustment of status application, depending on if you're abroad or here in the States, if you are legally married, you have that marriage certificate, then you can list your last name. Either you can take your spouse's last name, do a hyphenated last name, but you would literally be listing it the way that you want your last name to be on your actual application. Because in the United States, a marriage certificate is a legal name change document. For those of us who aren't going through an immigration process, if we want to change our last name after we get married, we take our marriage certificate, we go to the Social Security office, we request a new Social Security card with the last name of our choosing, being taking our spouse's last name or some version of a hyphenated last name. There's really, if you're wanting to change your last name, it's best to do it during the immigration process. If you're going through an immigration process to get your green card, because that's the name your green card will be issued. And the thing is that once your green card has been issued, there are ways that you can change your name with immigration after. But it can take a lot of time when you're trying to update your name on your green card. We have seen that take sometimes well over a year or two. Green card renewals are very slow, and so it wouldn't be in your best interest to try to do it after you have your green card. What I recommend to clients is, if you haven't done the name change on your green card application, that you look at doing your name change at the naturalization phase. So the short answer is, really, if you're wanting to change your name, then it's best to do it now. If you're not sure, then just leave your legal name the way it is on your current passport from your country of origin. And then there's an opportunity to change your last name later at the citizenship phase. All right. Hopefully that helps answer your question, Eds. All right. Um, would being a military service member delay my wife's spouse visa? No, there should be no reason for a delay. In some instances, there can be a basis for an expedite request. So there should be no reason that your military service would delay the spouse visa. And so, thank you for your service, and best of luck with your case. All right. Okay, let me grab. Okay. Oh, and Lisa, you were saying thank you that your children are turning 21 and 20. All right. Should I apply for a spouse visa or a fiance visa? That is one of those other very popular questions. So it really depends on your current circumstances and your goals. So some of the reasons that couples will choose a fiance visa over a spouse visa is because they're not yet married. They're wanting to have more time to nurture their union before marriage, and because they're wanting to ultimately get married in the US. And another popular reason for choosing the fiance visa is it is a little faster now, depending on where you're from. And it's also a great option for individuals who are engaged, but maybe it's going to be a while before they can be together again and get married. That's the piece that can make it faster to file for a fiance visa. If it's going to be many, many months before you're able to both be physically together to be able to get married, then considering the fiance visa would be a great option. Then on the flip side, though, with the fiance visa, when you enter the country, there's a period of time where you're in limbo and you aren't able to lawfully work in the US and you're waiting for your green card. Some individuals will choose the spouse visa route because of that. So unfortunately, there isn't a way for me to tell you which is best for you without us having a detailed conversation about your particular situation, your goals. When is the soonest you'd be able to meet and get married? Where are you at in your relationship? What is your timeline? And so we do offer a discovery call with our team. So the discovery call is with one of our team members, Lisa. She's fantastic, and she can go over the two options in general with you, just in more detail than I did here today. And then we also have an option. So Lisa is not a licensed attorney, but she can give you general educational information, and you can learn more about what it looks like to work with our office. And then the other option is if you're wanting to do a paid consultation with our legal team, I'd be happy to meet with you and your partner one-on-one, and we can talk about those two options. But in general, like I said, those are some of the main reasons that individuals pick that fiance over spouse and vice versa. And on our website, we have a chart, a downloadable chart that breaks down the options that are available to couples, the pros and the cons of both. And that really has helped a lot of individuals get clarity about which path is best for them. So you could check that free resource out as well. All of that is at immigrationforcouples.com. I can put that banner up here if you're wanting that for reference. It's immigrationforcouples.com. All right. Okay. Let's see, where do I go now? Okay, so as you said, okay, thank you. You've already filed your application, and can you still change it now? Yeah, I mean, you can change it. I mean, you can always amend your application with immigration. My pause and my look of contemplation was immigration isn't great. It updating things when we ask them to update, sometimes we have to ask multiple times. You can definitely, yeah, you can definitely try to let them know that. If you're scheduled for an interview, that would be an opportunity to let the immigration officer know you're wanting to change your name. But yeah, you can definitely do an amendment to your application. Whether or not it sticks, that'll be something different. All right, good luck with that. Okay. And so I think we went over this question. I'm not, it was not you who asked it, but we went over the K-1 visa processing times. And so we are seeing for most of our clients that wait time has sped up. I don't know if you saw that part. I don't know when you joined the live, but we have seen that part, that very first part of the petition speed up in terms of processing times. And most of our couples are receiving their fiance visa in 12 months, give or take, maybe a few months more or a few months less, depending on specifics of case and country of origin. And is the calendar at the consulate same for every visa? So I think, I'm guessing you mean just that specific consulate, if if it's the same for like spouse visas and fiance visas. So really the embassy or consulate has a certain amount of interviews that they can conduct every month. Typically with the fiance visa, you would be scheduling your own interview. Again, it depends on the country. Some countries, they schedule you. But typically you would be getting into the calendar and picking your date. And then with spouse visas, they would be assigning you a date. But really the fiance visa and spouse visas are given the same a priority in terms of calendar availability and scheduling. All right. Okay, so there's a lot of questions here. Ashley, a lot of really good questions. How long is the marriage visa taking nowadays? 12 plus months. It depends a lot on the country, but usually about a year or so. Some countries you're looking at more like 18 months. And then in others, we've had individuals, what we call our unicorn cases, that we've gotten through the spouse visa in 10 months. So I would be prepared for about a 12-month wait, give or take. And if you did a fiance visa with someone previously and it was denied and you've broken up since then, should I not do the K-1 again with my new boyfriend? All right. So immigration has a list of what they call red flags, things that they're going to look at in your history as the petitioner, as the U.S. petitioner, and in the immigrant beneficiary's history. So prior marriages is one. If an individual's been married before and that marriage recently ended, and then you're starting another relationship, I'm not saying that's your situation, but that's one of the red flags. And then if you've petitioned for someone in the past and you're petitioning for someone again through the immigration process, that's something that's definitely going to come up. And regardless of whether you're choosing the fiance or spouse visa, that's still going to be a red flag. That's still going to be an issue that immigration is going to look at. They still have that file and they can still go back and look at that application and look at that case and bring up questions about that case in your new case. Okay. So I wouldn't say that you shouldn't do the spouse visa or the fiance visa necessarily. I want you to understand, or know rather, it's really important to understand that whether you do the fiance or spouse, that case is still going to come up. And so it's really going to be a matter of your particular situation, why was that prior application denied? You don't have to put that here in public, but those are some of the questions that I would want to ask you and we could talk about in a consultation. So if you don't already have an immigration attorney, if you're thinking of having an immigration attorney for your case, I highly recommend it. I'm not saying that just because I am an immigration attorney and own a law firm and want your business. I'm not saying that. We would love to help and guide you, but even if it's not our firm, I highly recommend that you have an experienced immigration attorney on your side for your case, whether you choose fiance or spouse, because it can get complicated. All right. So thank you for the question, Ashley. You're not alone with those questions. I'm sure others are wondering that as well. And so that was very helpful, I'm sure, for others who are in a similar situation. All right. Okay. And then, so, oh, you have an update for us that you're from Jamaica and you went to your interview to do, and you did your medical exam and you're waiting on your approval. The case is saying refused. So I'm not sure. Let me see the other part of your question. A month and week away. Let me see. I'm from Jamaica. Oh, okay. So your case says, this is what I'm understanding from your question. And so correct me, Leonardo, if I'm not understanding the details properly, but it sounds like you went to your interview, you had your medical exam, your online case status shows refused because that's what it says if they're in the process of making a decision. And then you have been waiting a month and a week, right? So without more details, I can't tell you exactly what's going on, but typically if you go to your interview and you haven't completed your medical exam or there's documents missing, immigration, the officer legally has to refuse your case. That doesn't mean that's the end of the road. That can sometimes mean you just need to provide documents and then we will complete our review so we can issue the visa. In some situations, the refusal is because you weren't eligible and you might need a waiver or something, something of that nature. But a month and a week waiting after you've turned in documents is pretty normal. You can always reach out directly to that consular post, to that embassy, to get an update and see if they're needing anything else or when they anticipate making a decision. But best of luck to you. Thank you for being with us today. Okay. And Ashley, how much is a consultation? So our firm charges $300 for our attorney consultations. And so you can see that on our website. And if you decide to schedule a consultation, you can do all of that from our website. Okay. But yeah, we charge $300 for the consultation. And then if you decide to work with us, we credit that $300 to your case if you hire us within 14 days. So you would get that credit back into the cost of your case. All right, Ashley. And I can put that link in the comments after the show. All right. Okay, I think I have gotten through. The chat was on fire with having both Facebook and YouTube comments, but I think that we got through all of them. Oh, I have one more. I almost missed it. So you have a K1 interview next month, and we have a 24-year age gap. Can you give me some tips to prepare for the interview? So yes, an age gap is one of those other, yep, I got it. Sorry, I almost missed it, but I got it. I have your question pulled up now. So yeah, an age gap is one of those red flags that immigration looks at. And it is very important for everybody, even if you don't have one of those red flags, to be fully prepared for the interview. I highly recommend that hopefully you have a copy of your application, the petition that was filed with immigration, that you have your DS-160, a copy of that was filed. I would review through all of those, both of those applications and all of those details. A lot of questions will come from that. It's very important that you know dates. So the date of when you both met, the date when you got engaged, birth date of your fiance, and if they were married previously. So knowing all of those details, you probably should already know all of that. You've been together. But yeah, I would go over those applications and prepare by reviewing all of that information. And then also really important interview tips that I give everyone. If you don't know an answer, don't guess. Let them know that you don't know an answer. You should know everything that they're asking you, but if for some reason, if you wouldn't remember a prior address or date, you should be honest and not guess. Always, always, always be honest, of course. Never lie to immigration. They have more details and information than you can imagine, and not being honest will just cause you more issues. I'm sure, Ahmed, you're going to be honest. I'm just giving these details or these tips to you as I give to everyone. And then knowing that, yes, you're in front of an immigration officer and it can be intimidating, but I've worked, or rather been around many immigration officers, hundreds if not thousands of immigration officers. They're human beings. They have busy days. They have their computers and their files, and they have a lot on their mind, and sometimes they might look away and they'll be typing at their computer and they might mumble, or they might use legal jargon, and you might not understand what they're asking. Don't be so intimidated, or don't be so afraid to ask them, I'm not sure what you're asking me. What does that, what is your question, or what does that mean? So you get clarity before you answer the question. So those are my common or main interview tips that I give to everyone. But best of luck with your interview next month. Hopefully all goes well for you, and you can let us know it alive if you're approved. I know everybody'd love to hear that. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. It was so wonderful being with everybody. I love this Facebook and YouTube at the same time, all of us connecting. And I loved all of the questions. This was very helpful for everyone. So thank you all for being with us. So Ashley, you're asking, you had one final question. I can grab this question. So does our law firm offer us services where clients can prepare their own paperwork, but you just give advice or look it over before sending it in? So we do not offer DIY services. We don't offer that like piecemeal legal advice. And the reason is everything that we do at Immigration for Couples is very intentional. And historically, or rather a long time ago, we tried a DIY type model, but it's just not conducive to the complexity of the immigration process. And it's really risky, even if you have an immigration lawyer reviewing your paperwork. So our firm offers a whole rubric of advocacy. What we do is so much more than just filling out paperwork and forms. We do a deep dive into both of your backgrounds, both of your relationship histories, the immigration history. We have a very long questionnaire that's even more than what the forms are. So we can do a thorough analysis of your situation. We look for red flags. We will look at your profiles on social media. We do all the things that an immigration officer will do. And so that's why the DIY services, we don't do that, because it can just be very risky for you to represent yourself on your own if you don't have someone going through that thorough process. There are definitely places out there that do. So if that's, what you're ultimately looking for, there are services out there like that, but we don't, because we know that's not fair to clients. That's not in your best interest. So that's a long answer to your question. But thank you for being with us. And maybe we'll see you on a consultation, or you can at least check out our free resource center. All right. So I need to wrap here for today. If anybody has any other questions, if you're watching this on the replay, if you missed the live, please do a hashtag replay. Let me know what your questions are. We can cover them in the next live, and we will have another live event next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, both on Facebook and YouTube again. So if you have questions, I'll see you all next week. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Take care.